The accusations against Zack Sellers just got a whole lot louder. First, it was Devon, claiming Zack pursued him when he was just 14, backed up by screenshots and Cash App receipts. Now, a second accuser has come forward. A TikToker named Jessica just dropped a 9-part TikTok series detailing her experience. In this video, we're putting everything together. Devon's story, Jessica's full series, and the receipts they say prove it all. This is the complete breakdown, unedited and in their own words. But let's rewind to the beginning to see just how we ended up here. It all started with Kayla Malec and Evan Johnson. Kayla's YouTube series laid out a detailed account of the abuse she says she experienced during their relationship. Physical, emotional, and psychological. Her videos were raw, personal, and filled with receipts. And people listened. That's when Zack Sellers entered the picture. He wasn't some random internet voice. He had been close with Evan after the breakup and said he believed Evan's version of events. But according to Zack, that changed the moment he watched Kayla's first video. He said he was manipulated, that Evan lied to him, and once he saw the truth, he cut ties and made it his mission to speak out. Zack also started claiming that famous YouTuber James Charles was closely involved with Evan, that there had been a transactional relationship, explicit messages, and even a visit to LA that ended in a hookup. Zack said James knew about Kayla's abuse allegations, but chose to ignore them. That accusation added fuel to an already messy situation. James had been friends with Kayla, and she had told him that her and Evan broke up and that he had done some terrible things to her. It was easy for Zack to shape the narrative on James, though, because with James Charles, there was already a history of inappropriate relationships, and Zack used that to his advantage. But now that serious allegations are being made against Zack himself, people are starting to question how much of that narrative was genuine and how much was weaponized. For a while, Zack was seen as someone trying to do the right thing. He shared his own conversations with Evan, posted videos backing up Kayla's story, and presented himself as an advocate for accountability. But that version of Zack, the one people rallied behind, has now come under serious scrutiny. Allegations have surfaced that paint a very different picture. Not just about what he may have done, but about how much control he had over shaping the narrative from the start. We're starting with Devon, the first person to speak out publicly. In his videos, he claims that Zack began an inappropriate relationship with him when he was just 14. He describes a pattern of manipulation, unsolicited pictures and Cash App payments, and backs it up with screenshots and receipts. What makes this even more disturbing is the hypocrisy. Zack was the loudest voice calling James Charles a predator, and yet here he is facing eerily similar accusations.
I'm seeing Zack Sellers all over my For You page, and he's the last person we should be giving attention or any bit of fame to. He's a disgusting person. When I was underage and he was well over age, he would ask for pictures and talk to me and gaslight and manipulate me constantly. I have pictures. I don't have a whole lot, but he's the last person we should be listening to or interacting with. With the James Charles situation going on, a name that keeps getting brought up is Zack Sellers. Now, me and Zack Sellers have interacted before when I was a minor and he was a full-grown adult lying about his age. Now, at the time of these, I was only 14 years old. Another one. And now this one is when I was still 14, and with proof and a timestamp, then I found out that he was lying about his age. Not only would he do that, he would ask for pictures constantly and send unsolicited pictures of himself. Now this is 1 year later after he would non-stop call and text me. I'm only making this so people stop giving him attention and interacting with him and supporting him for whatever reason. He's a disgusting person who deserves nothing.
Next, let's take a look at Jessica's 9-part series. Jessica wasn't just an acquaintance, she was one of Zack's closest friends for over a year. They spent time together constantly, traveled, shared personal conversations, and built what she thought was a real friendship. But over time, she says the red flags started piling up. Now, after months of staying silent, she's sharing her side. With a full timeline, screenshots, and detailed stories that go beyond rumors. What she reveals here adds serious weight to the conversation and shows just how complicated things really were behind the scenes.
So now that I feel ready to talk about this and I've gathered my thoughts and I made a timeline and some notes because I get very distracted. So I'm going to basically talk about how I know Zach and all the things. So, this is part 1 of that. Okay, so me and Zach were friends for a few years, and basically how we became friends was I graduated in 2016 from high school, and I went to high school with his 2 cousins. They're twin girls. I was friends with them throughout high school, so I knew of them first. I did not know who Zach was. I only know them. Okay, so a few years go by. I'm doing hair. They start coming to me for hair and makeup. So I, at this point, been doing their hair and makeup for a few years. And then eventually their mom started coming to me. Their mom is Zach's aunt, which is Zach's mom's sister. And then did her hair for a few, and then Zach's mom came to me, did her hair for a few, and then eventually Zach came to me. So basically down the line, he heard that I did hair and he came to me. So, I got sorry, I'm looking at my iPad so I don't lose track. I met Zach, well, first I got a text from Zach because I did his mom's hair, and then she had mentioned to me, hey, my son's a model, and he's been looking for someone to do his hair. Do you do guys' hair? And I'm like, not really, but since I kind of know you and your family so far, I'll do his hair. So I told her to give him my number and text me. So June 30th, 2022 was the first time I ever heard from Zach, ever talked to him, anything. So I got a text from Zach, and I will show that. Okay, so here's where Zach said, hey Jessica, this is Zach, Candy's son, the model. Okay, so I was like, hey, he said, are we good for 11:30 tomorrow? I said yes. He said, thanks for getting me in, blah, 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 blah. And then he sent me, this picture is like some guy off Pinterest, and he was like, I like his hair, I want this. And I was like, okay. So the next day, July 1st, 2022, Zach comes in and I do his hair, take pictures, do the thing. So here's the first picture I ever took of Zach. And this was July 1st, 2022. Here's another one. So September 14th, 2022, I did his hair for the second time. Here's the picture. And at this point, I was kind of, this is kind of irrelevant, but side note, I get super close with my clients really quick, if we vibe really, good. So at this point in time, I'm like, he's cool. He's a cool dude, I like him. So this was September. So, we started officially, hanging out, as friends, I guess you could say, in November. So this was November 4th, 2022. Hold on. And this also was the same day. So at this point, we are freshly friends, fall of 2022, and not really any red flags. He was just this really cool dude. He liked shopping, going out, doing things. He was just pretty normal. And sometime in the fall of 2022, freshly when we first became friends and was hanging out, when I first met Zach, I got the vibes that he was gay. Did not care at all, I was like, cool, I have a gay bestie, whatever. He was really cool. He was super open about it. But I did officially ask him, when he did open up about it, I was like, so, are you gay? Because I'm just that kind of person. I'm just so straight up. I'm so transparent. I'm just like, are you gay? We're friends now. He could tell me. And, a lot of my clients, when they do get really close to me, they feel like they can just tell me anything. And I'm the same way. So, he was like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I knew it. But, so, a few weeks go by, we're still hanging out and stuff. Everything's still pretty normal. And the fall of 2022, I would say it was about fall, probably about to be winter time. I don't know how this got brought up, but I got the vibes, and I could kind of tell. I didn't say anything yet, but I knew that he was like keeping it from everybody, or keeping it from his family and stuff like that, you know? So I'm thinking, if I can tell, there's no way they can't tell. Everybody knew. Everybody that I knew, like his cousins and stuff, you know, they knew, you know, like everybody knew. I never heard his mom or anybody else say, you know, that they knew, but, you know, I could tell that he was keeping it a secret. And I remember one day I asked him, I'm like, how did your mom not know you're gay? And we were talking about something to do with, like, he was, like, he lied about, what was it? It was like he lied about going and hanging out with a girl or something, but he was hanging out with a guy or something like that. And so that's why I was like, so how did your mom not know you're gay? And he told me that before I say this, let me preface by saying, if you were or are a friend of Zach's, you know how Zach is. He is very unserious. He is very, very, very good at manipulating, and like, he's such a good liar. You won't even be able to tell when this dude's lying when you're friends with him. Now that I'm not friends with him, I can see right through him. But so he told me that he was like, my mom has to know I'm gay. I haven't told her. I don't want to tell her, you know. I just know that she knows I'm gay. And I'm like, well, how? If you haven't told her, like, what makes you think that she assumes, you know? And he said, sorry, I keep looking at my iPad because I'm going to get sidetracked. But he told me my mom must know I'm gay because I messed around with this dude at Hendersonville High School. And he was a little bit underage, and I had just graduated and blah blah blah, and the cops got involved because his parents found out or something. So cops came to Zach's house, and he said he got off the chain, like let off the hook basically, because his mom knew or friends with or something with someone in the higher up of the sheriff department or the court system or something like that. Because I'm thinking, and at this time I'm not like, this dude's not a PDF file, you know? I'm like, no, you know, I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, because I'm like, okay, he just graduated, you're freshly 18, this kid could have been 17, about to turn, you know how people, okay, so not justifying it, just that's what was going through my mind, you know. I was trying to figure out, you know, okay, well, you know. So anyways, so then, you know, we're hanging out still, doing this and that, this and that. December rolls around, 2022, and Zach moved to Nebraska for school. Okay, so me and my husband flew up to Nebraska to help him unpack and decorate and do all these things. Okay, so I remember being up there, and Zach told me about this guy up there that he met that he thought was cute, blah blah blah, and I was like, cool, you know. That's really all he said about it. And so then we fly back home, and I think it was like not much longer, probably like a month or so, if that, he was ready to move back, and he started moving back. And he said it was because his cousin that lived with him wasn't paying rent, and he just, you know, it just didn't work out, so he moved back. So December 22, we flew back. So December 22, Zach started staying at home again, and he mentioned this guy that he met on Grindr, I think, and showed me pictures and stuff, and thought he was cute, blah blah blah, and I was like, cool. He was over the age of 18, I believe. Yes, he was. So Zach started hanging out with this Isaac kid, and so part 2, December 22, Zach started dating a kid named Isaac, and he showed me pictures and stuff, and I was like, oh, he looks nice, you know, whatever. I never met Isaac. He never let me meet him. I don't know why. It was so weird. I would ask all the time, like, hey, can I meet your boyfriend? He, you know, made up every excuse he would. He had Isaac block me on stuff and told me that a bunch of stuff had happened and whatever, so I need you to block him. And then I tried to block him and he already had me blocked, so I'm like, okay. And I'll show you pictures. Okay, this is him, this is Zach. And I know a lot of people have been saying like, oh my gosh, I don't even recognize him. No, he does not look the same. He had short blonde hair, now he has long curly hair. But this is the guy that he was dating. So at this point, their relationship wasn't that long, and Zach was like, this dude's trash, this dude's a narcissist, he's crazy. I have a text where he texted Zach and told him to stop harassing him. I'm assuming at this point they were trying to break up, whatever, so he told him to leave him alone, blah, blah, blah. And then allegedly, he accused him of rape. And, you know, Zach manipulated me at this point into thinking, this dude's crazy, you know, like, he's crazy, he's trying to say this and this and that, and, you know, like, whatever. And so I'm like, oh, does he have proof? And he's like, no. And I'm like, oh, okay. So at this point, they're toxic, and they're going back and forth, and they're together, they're not together, they're having, you know what, and not. So this was a text from Zach, December 31st, 2022, and he's, basically the conversation was, let me set my phone up. He was asking to hang out, blah, 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 and I said I was going to go home, feed my dogs, and I can come back. And he said, okay, how far? And so he was asking that to do with the other dude that I showed you a picture of. He was very casual with letting me know his sexual life. So this was nothing new. So one day I texted Zach and asked, what are you doing? And he sent me a picture of the guy. And he said, eating TGIF. I said, nice. So at this point in our friendship, Zach would ignore me. He would ask to hang out, and then I would respond with yes, and then he would ignore me. Or I would ask him to hang out and he would ignore me and then go hang out with him, which was fine. But the way he manipulated the situation, he made me feel jealous, and I wasn't. It wasn't even about that. It's just the fact that you're saying you know how friends go. So basically, he would hang out with him, but tell me that he wanted to hang out with me, but then not hang out with me, and then tell me. It was just a bunch of manipulation stuff. So at this point, I was like, I'm just going to let him do his thing with his guy, you know. So then I have a voice recording of our conversation because I was upset because I felt like, you know, he's not really he's my friend. He's saying he's my friend. He cares about me, but he's ditching me, and then he's staying out all night with this guy, and this and that. And then I'll play the voice recording of him talking about the conversation. And also in the voice recording, he does admit that he's gay because, and where that comes in is, long story short, because I'm going around in circles in different spots. But when our friendship ended, he told everyone I was lying about him being gay. So, and a PDF file. So he called me a liar about that, but I have the proof. So I'll play that. And also, what did I say? Oh yeah. Talking about him, like them hanging out and stuff like that, and him, doing it with him. So I'm gonna get to the voice recording. I wanted to add this in there because it's kind of on the timeline track. But I got a phone call from Zach, December 2022. It was in the middle of December, I'm pretty sure, at like 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. I was in bed, I was asleep, my phone was on silent. I didn't answer it because I didn't know it was ringing, so I didn't see it till the next morning. Next morning, I get up, I see the messages from Zach saying 911, help, I've wrecked my car, blah, blah, blah. I have those messages too, and then the phone calls, I've got the, where he called me, but I get on Snapchat, and his mom posted this, and if you look back down here, that is a black car, that's Zach's car, and this night Isaac was hanging out with Zach, and Zach wrecked his car, and they almost got severely hurt because I don't know if y'all can see, but here's his car. This is like a bank, and so here's the road. You can see the tracks, where the tracks are, that's the road. So this is like a drop off, and those are trees, and it's very like far. So he was very close. So
really, you know what makes me really uncomfortable?
what?
It's like how they make, like, I'll be in there and they'll be like Stormy. She goes, I think Zach has a girlfriend, he's not telling us about. Okay, motherfucker, you don't know I'm gay. Like, you don't know I don't fuck with girls. Like, when have y'all ever seen Brand fucking female in this fucking house? Like, the fucking, we've lived here how many years?
Yeah.
Like, that kind of like.
But maybe they don't want to make it too obvious to where it makes you feel weird, you know?
That really makes me feel weird.
But maybe they don't know that makes you feel weird.
Like, that really makes me like.
I know. Like when your mom was like, he can use protection, and he being the girl, like I was like, yeah.
See, that bothers me.
Yeah. But maybe they don't know. I mean, you never know because they don't know. So I guess you'll know if they knew or not when you tell them. Because if they're just like, okay, then they knew. And you could be like, so why did you say this and that?
Yeah. It's gonna be just like that one TikTok. What's his name? He's in fucking
The guy that I showed you. Yeah. Yeah.
I always knew, but like it's just how he acted. But like, that's crazy. But I mean, most the fact is that like that really just like when she was like swarming, that pissed me off. Mom goes, "Where are you going?" And I was like, "Don't fucking worry about it. Like, I'm grown."
Yeah.
You know, like I don't have to like explain like every little like, where I'm going. And that's when Stormy's like, "I think Zach has a girlfriend. What's telling us about?" Bitch, I almost said, "No, you know what? I'm going to get dick." Like, I was so close because it had me heated that I was literally about to say it.
And he tried doing the same thing that everyone has been posting on here. He's got a pattern, if you can't tell, but so you guys can read through all of that, but he basically didn't get his way, and he's trying to blackmail him. So I also wanted to add, how ironic is it for him to have these patterns of saying the same thing, doing the same thing with these guys, overage and underage, and he's trying to blackmail them for being gay, but he hasn't even came out of the closet yet at 27 years old, or 26, my bad. And it's not the fact that he's gay. Nobody cares. It's 2025. Nobody cares. It's the principle of you're trying to blackmail these people to get your way when you haven't even come out of the closet yourself. So, and I want to add real quick too before I continue, is that's delusional, but to a whole different level, because how can someone be that delusional in their head to truly believe the lies that they make? They believe them in their head. They really do. And I don't know. I've just never, sometimes I can't even comprehend it because I just never met someone like that. Okay, so now we're in February 2023. The first week of February, we went to Miami. Me, Zach, my best friend Kaylee, and my husband Ken went to Miami for my husband's work convention. And so, long story short, Zach wanted to start selling life insurance. That's what my husband does. So he got him licensed, and he was like, "Hey, go to the convention, you know, you'll learn a bunch of stuff from it." And so, yeah, that's why Zach went with us. So this message is from that. So long story short, we went to Miami. My best friend, hold on, I'll get back to that. We went to Miami, had the convention. The day we were supposed to fly back, we woke up on time and we woke Zach up, but Zach would not get out of the bed. He just laid there on his phone, playing on his phone, and we're like, hey, like, get up, we're gonna miss our flight. And so he was like getting mad. He was just like, stop fucking bitching, blah blah blah. Like, so he eventually got out of bed, and I'm sitting there like, dude, we're about to miss our flight. We should have left him at the Airbnb, but I'm not that bad of a friend. So he gets up, we leave, we get to the airport, we're running because we're about to be late. Zach's the first one to get his bag checked, and it gets through. He grabs his bag and runs. He leaves us. He runs and leaves us. And so I'm like, what the fuck? And so Kaylee got her bag checked, and it was good. She stood there, waited, because she's a good friend. My bag stood there, and then Kim was the last one to get his bag checked. Ken's bag got stopped. Ken's bag got stopped because Zach, his shaving cream can somehow got in Ken's bag. How? I don't know. Kim was like, dude, I don't even shave. That's not mine. So they threw it away, but he was like, I didn't put this in there. So I don't know if Zach put it in there and like planned this out or what. I have no idea, but his bag got stopped. We missed our flight. Zach got his flight. And then I texted Zach and was like, we missed the flight. He was like, ask them if there's any way, blah, 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 blah. And this, I'll get out of the frame. It just explains the whole thing. He didn't want to take accountability. And it's, it was the whole thing. And not to mention that he still has not paid his flight ticket. So, and he's not going to, but just wanted to add that in there. So this next timestamp is really bad, and I have to add in some parts that I kind of skipped over, that way I could tell it all during this time. So before I tell what this next part is, I'm gonna say, I don't know when, I can't remember, but I think it was wintertime. I'm gonna say the end of October to December, that time frame between those months. Zach had met my cousin, Aiden. Me and Aiden are very close. We hang out all the time. At the time, 2022, Aiden was 15 years old. And Zach was 23, 24. And so, me and Zach hung out a lot. We were basically best friends. Well, I was his best friend. He was my friend. And then me and Aiden were super close. So, I clashed all of us together and we hung out a bunch. And so somewhere between those months that I told you, Zach, and back to when I said that he's so unserious and you just can't tell when he's lying, Zach told me in my kitchen, I remember exactly where I was. I was in my kitchen, the lights were off. And I think there was like a small lamp on, so it was dimmed. I know that's so descriptive, but, and he looks at me and goes, I'm gonna ask Aiden for, and I'm like, and with everything that I knew at the time with Zach, I'm like, first thing that went through my mind was, if he really is, why is he bold enough to tell me this? Because first of all, he is underage. Second of all, someone that is a PDF file, why would they tell you that knowing that's your family member? Who's that bold, So I'm thinking he's lying. He's, he's joking. And so I literally just was like, what? And so then he changed the subject because it just threw me off. And I was just like, what? And so, yeah. So February 2023, we get back from Miami, and at this point it's February 18th, 2023. I'm gonna have to go to the next part. Okay, February 18th, 2022, I asked my cousin, that is 15 when he met Zach, and Zach was 23, 24, I don't know. Okay. And he said yes. And so at this moment, my stomach drops to the floor because I'm thinking, holy shit, the thoughts that went through my mind when he said he was going to do it, he actually did. Like, I was thinking, there's no fucking way this dude's that bold, but he is. And he is this delusional. So I get all the information and I say, what'd he say? And he's like, that's why I ghost him so much, because he asked that. And I said, what did he say to you? He says this. And then I said, then what? He says, send a pic. And he's like, it's not saved in chat. If I send him a snap, he will probably say it. Hold on. He has his Snapchat on delete after scene. Okay. So I said, does he do this a lot? He said, that's why he had me blocked so many times, because, and I remember Aiden being like, yeah, Zack blocked me, Zack unblocked me, Zack blocked me, Zack unblocked me. And I'm thinking, what? So that's why he said that. And I said, does he do it a lot? Yes. I said, has he done it? I'm trying to get all the information, so that's why I'm asking all these random questions. Has he done this? He's done it way more than once. Let me move myself out the frame. He's done this way more than once. He says that I'm gonna get the bro. And I said, at this point, I'm already shook. So I'm like, what? And he says, he makes me uncomfy. I said, block him. And I was at this point, I'm livid. And he says, okay. I'm like, block him on everything. He says, okay. I said, at this point, I've never experienced this. I was just going through so many emotions. He said, I wanted to tell you, but y'all were good friends and I didn't want to ruin anything. So at this point, I felt really guilty, because I'm thinking, I never thought someone would be bold enough, if they were a PDF file, to admit to your face that they're going to do something to your family member. And so, I told him what Zack told me, and he said he would ask me every day. I don't know if I showed this, but yeah. So he would say, don't bail on me, blah, 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 blah. So now we are at February 26, 2023. So at this point, we weren't friends. And then he texted me February 26th, and he said that. And sent a picture of this guy and was like, I want to do this with my hair. So it threw me off, because I'm like, you're trying to act like nothing happened, and then you just care if I do your hair, basically. So what instantly went through my mind is, he's trying to weasel his way back in, for one, so I could do his hair, and two, I don't know why, but I was like, I'm going to basically fake being his friend again, so I can get information out of him, now knowing what he did to my cousin. So at this point, we had unadded each other from everything, and he wanted my Snapchat and wanted me to be friends with him again on there. So I went to add him again. As you can see, we were best friends, and I want to make a point of this, because he is going around saying now that all these screenshots that people have been posting of snaps and messages between him on Snap is not his Snapchat. It's not him. But who is this? Because this is who was on my Snapchat, and this is the name he gave me. I have the text, and also, that's you, dude. So why are you trying to lie? Like I said, the delusional lies that he believes, something's off. Something's actually off with him in his head. So yeah, that's him. All right, so May 2023, Zach, this is my husband and his text thread. Zach started talking to / dating this kid named Carson in Alabama. I don't know his age. He never told me. But I think he said he met him off TikTok. Anyways, this is a picture of them too. And long story short, he was just telling me, like, I met this guy, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So, and remember, at this point, I'm just trying to get any information as I can. But I feel like he kind of was starting to catch on, and just didn't tell me as much information, which is why he didn't tell me his age. But anyways, so, okay. So this text, blah, 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 refers to Zach lied again, saying he couldn't hang out, and made this lie, okay, about this kid. So that's why when he sent this to my husband, he said that. He said, okay, this is a Snapchat log between the Carson kid and Zach. So basically Zach got jealous because this Carson kid was talking to his friends about a girl, but they were joking. Okay, so that's basically what this is. You can read it. Okay, so next is June 2023, the next month. I went over to Zach's house, and he had all of this new skincare and stuff, like high-end stuff like Tatcha and a bunch of stuff, okay? So I was like, oh, when did you get that? And he was like, oh, my grandma stole it for me. You can have some if you want it. And at this point, the wheels are already turning. They've been turning since the stuff had happened. And I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, I don't need anything, you know? And, it's funny because now looking back at that situation, I'm like, he was totally he was lying. He was fucking lying on his grandma. He probably stole it, and I feel like personally he was trying to set me up and give me some of the stuff so he could be like, look, she stole this, not me, you know? But yeah, so I did not take any of it, but he was just being really weird about it. Okay, next is June 21st, 2023. So the night before, a few days before, I think, we went over to Zach's, and we were in his room, and we were standing there. There was this big pile of clothes at the end of his bed on the floor. Well, we're walking, and Ken steps, and he's like, what is that? And so Zach's like, I don't know. So he moves all the clothes, and it's a flat screen TV hidden underneath clothes. I was like, that's weird. So he claims Ken stepped on it and broke it. He didn't step hard enough. He didn't even fully put all his weight. He literally just was walking, got to the clothes, and was like, something's hard under here. And Zach sent this picture on that day to Ken, showing, it's broken. Previously, also, when we went over there, before the TV got broken, Zach was trying to sell this TV and said that his stepdad got it because his stepdad like flips houses and does electrician and stuff like that. So in empty houses where people leave, stuff that's junk, you can take it home or throw it in the trash. So he brought this home, and in my opinion, it was already broke, and he was going to just get it fixed or whatever, or try to sell it because he's fraudulent like that. So he sends him this picture, sends him this TV, and it's $3,000. He's basically like, you're going to replace it. So Ken's like, he's got to sort out money stuff because Zach always owed Ken money. So at this point, Ken's pissed. They're claiming they're pissed. So Ken's straight up like, Aiden has shown everybody and told everybody everything. Well, then he tries to say, I bought Aiden vapes. Where? When? Please prove to me. And so he was like, no, she didn't. You gave him a boot pen, and there's a drug test to prove it. I don't know. Hold on, let me move myself out the way. Hang on, guys. Okay. And then he says, prove that I've been to the vape stores, blah, blah, blah. So one of my clients that I've done her makeup before and stuff, and whatever. So she texted me, and yeah. So her husband works at the vape store that Zach always goes to. It's TM Vapors, if any of you guys were wondering. And she texted me that he basically caught Zach stealing, had to kick him out the store, and there's video footage. They can't show video footage because it's illegal unless, you know, the cops or a lawyer needed it, which is right, that's correct. So I said, does your husband know Zach, blah, 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 blah. And this is when, you know, she said that they had to kick him out and stuff, her husband or whatever. And then this other stuff to add about Zach and his mom. And yeah, so y'all can read that. So here's where the downfall officially happens. This is a text thread between me, Zach, and Zach's mom, Candy. This message refers, this is me crashing out, by the way. I fully admit to it, and I don't regret it. This message is me referring to, she posted on Facebook, after all the TV stuff happened, there was really, like, we hadn't sorted out yet how the TV was going to get replaced or whatever, so there was no initial issue. And so they posted a status on Facebook talking about needing a new hairstylist, basically, blah, 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 and the comments, and they were all talking shit. So I sent them this, okay? So here's the message thread between me and his mom on Facebook where she was talking shit, and she threatened to beat my ass and called me white trash again. So now we're in July of 2023 and we're not friends at this point. And I'm getting messages and I'm seeing stuff where Zach moved to Alabama to be around Carson, and his cousin moved in with him. And so long story short, I'm assuming they just got really toxic and they broke up, and Zach had to move back to Tennessee. He was stalking this dude, harassing this dude, allegedly was chasing him around in the car with a gun, allegedly. And so he moved back to Tennessee, moved back in with his mom. So August 2023, Zach posted a Google review on my salon saying that I messed his hair up, and I wasn't even the last person that did his hair. So here's the review, talking a bunch of bullshit again, because you know he loves to try to take people's careers, everything from them, and he's so stupid. All right, so that's my timeline so far. No interactions or anything since we quit being friends. I'm looking at my notes, just make sure I got everything. So let me predict what he's gonna come out and say, you guys. He's trying to sue me for defamation. I have said nothing but facts, and I have proof. I have messages from other guys and proof. I have my Snapchat data and other people's for proof. Does he not know what the definition of defamation is? Is him and his mom really that fucking stupid? Yes, they are. He tried to go, he was on Rich Lux's live not too long ago, and was saying how he came from such a well, I don't know if y'all saw that, but he said well about 30 fucking times. Well-off family. He's got money. People that have money, they don't steal from vape stores. They don't owe insurance companies money. They don't owe other people money. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. So, I'm going to predict what he's going to do. He's going to try to sue for defamation. He's going to say the Snapchat, screenshots that everyone's posting, messages between me and these guys, that's not my Snapchat. That's not me. Dude, it's your Snapchat. I just showed it to you. I've got the message where you sent me your username. I've got my Snapchat data where it said that you were my friend and you were my best friend. And I mean, it has a picture of you on it. It has your public profile pictures on it. And you're going to sit here and lie and think that people are going to believe you because you're fucking crazy and delusional. You're stupid. And I know how Zach is. I know he's going to try to go after everything I have. Not happening. There's public records, by the way, of him. If you guys haven't seen that, let me show you. So this is his public record for Sumner County, which is where he lives. So when you click on these, hang on. Here's his records. He's got charges for false reports to a police officer, drug paraphernalia, tampering with evidence, casual exchange. He's got a restraining order against him, speeding, which is nothing. And I think that's it. Yeah, there's the order of protection against him. And then speeding, I think is the next one. And paraphernalia, yeah, false reports to cops. So, after I came out with my very brief, vague video about knowing Zach and all the stuff, I've gotten so many messages from victims, and I want to start by prefacing by saying I'm so proud of you for coming out and being brave and not letting the threats scare you and all of that. And I'm very sorry that it happened to you. But here's one of the guys that came out and said that he harassed one of his friends. Here's the screenshot where he said Zach sat at his friend's high school and stalked him and would drive around for hours and just like, yeah. Then he sent him this long message from a text now number, and basically back again doing his shit where he, doesn't get his way, so he threatens and tries to blackmail. So his ex messaged me on Instagram today, and I was like, oh my gosh, like your name sounds so familiar. I remember him talking about you. So I told him everything that I heard from Zach, and this is what he said. Hang on. Here's where his mom also said that she has 5 assaults for nothing, and once again, they're literally trying to make me out to be someone that I'm not and threatening me. And then this is also when I called her out about her son and stuff, and she literally was like, my son is grown. The fuck? So this is about Miami, talking about driving from Nebraska to Miami. And I want to add that after the downfall of our friendship and everything, my best friend was like, so when we were in Miami and you and Kim went to the convention, no, we went to an awards night and Zach didn't go because obviously he wasn't working yet. And her and him stayed at the Airbnb. She said that he had his Grindr and Tinder set to the age 16. And she was like, you can change that. He's like, yeah, I know. And didn't. So this was a message about Miami, him saying he wanted to drive down there. And now looking back, I'm like, I bet he met someone down there, and he probably did because he said, I need to see someone Friday or Saturday night. So also back to when he said he comes from a very wealthy, well-off family. Why do you need me to give you anything for your apartment? Can't you just buy it on your own? So this is where he lived in Alabama in these apartments. This is when he asked for my Snapchat. Also, here's where he literally gave me his Snapchat, so he cannot say that's not his Snapchat. This was when we went to the Jack Harlow concert, so he can't say that we're not friends. This was on Christmas. That's his mom on the left. That's him on the right. Also to mention, this night, they were super packed at the bowling alley, and they had no lanes or anything, which I was very understanding, duh, like, it's a holiday, they're packed, they're not gonna have anything. He got pissed off and went off on this really nice worker, was calling him ugly, this and that, you're gonna know who the fuck I am, blah blah blah, and they kicked us out. I was very embarrassed because I didn't see the point in any of that. And so here's another message for one of his victims, and I did not put his name in that one either. So now his mom has reached out and told that she's going to be suing me and the Devon guy and Brennan. She got his fucking name wrong because she's dumb. Yeah, so there's that. Here's Here's literally where she's being delusional, and she's like, yes, I agree, messaging kids is disgusting. Girl, your son does it. Oh my fucking God. So, I am very sorry for this very long,
That's where things stand for now, but this story is still unfolding. More people are coming forward, and Zack hasn't responded to the latest accusations. At least not yet.